Known to her fans as Dutchess Dior, 27-year-old influencer Zariah Khadija Carr has been found dead in her Twin City, Georgia home after pleading for help in a social media post. Police discovered the woman's body while responding to a reported domestic disturbance at the residence at around 9:30 p.m. Her car was missing from the driveway and Zariah's husband, Shamarcus Jamil Carr, was nowhere to be found. Just 3 hours earlier, Zariah had made a Facebook post stating, "But I need help before I lose my life or freedom. My kids need me." Around 90 minutes after the officers found the victim's body, the missing car was spotted in Wayne County. Sheriff's deputies tried to make contact with the driver only to find Shamarcus suffering from a gunshot wound inside the vehicle. He died at a nearby hospital and the investigation is ongoing. Number 14. Santos Hernandez Cornejo. A typical Saturday night work shift at a Houston, Texas restaurant took a deadly turn when 50-year-old Texas resident Argelia Diaz-Maya was chased down and murdered by her boyfriend. Unaware that the suspect, 53-year-old El Salvadorian national Santos Hernandez Cornejo, had installed a tracking device on her car, Diaz-Maya was attacked shortly after midnight while leaving the Burning Shell restaurant, where she worked as a dishwasher. According to reports, she tried running back into the building but was unable to outrun Hernandez Cornejo, who stabbed her multiple times in the head and body. Hernandez Cornejo fled the scene but later turned himself into law enforcement. He reportedly admitted to killing Diaz-Maya, telling detectives that he suspected the victim of cheating on him and installed a tracking device on her car and a listening device in her bedroom. Surveillance footage showed the accused killer ditching the bloody murder weapon in a field, where it was later recovered by investigators. Police booked Hernandez Cornejo into the Harris County Jail, where he remains in custody on suspicion of murder as well as an immigration hold. Number 13. Francis Alcantar-Chavez. An Arizona man who was wanted for murdering his mother and stepfather has been shot dead by law enforcement after shooting at a Missouri state trooper during a pursuit. 23-year-old Francis Alcantar-Chavez became a wanted fugitive after 53-year-old Cynthia Templeton and 62-year-old Troy Templeton were found shot to death in their Taylor home. Investigators quickly identified Alcantar-Chavez as a suspect and issued a nationwide alert to detain him if found. Later that day, he was spotted in Concordia, Missouri, where he managed to outrun the police on his motorcycle. 2 hours later, Alcantar-Chavez crashed the bike into a Missouri State Trooper's patrol car. He attempted to flee on foot while shooting at a trooper who was chasing after him, striking the cop in his bullet-resistant vest. The trooper returned fire, killing the suspect, and was treated for his injuries at a nearby hospital. He's expected to make a full recovery. In the meantime, the Taylor community is grieving the loss of the Templetons, who were dedicated members of the Arizona Rangers Civilian Law Enforcement Auxiliary. Number 12. Leanna Perry. 32-year-old New York City resident Leanna Perry has gone viral for attacking a woman on a Southwest Airlines flight outside LaGuardia Airport, resulted in her arrest and removal from the aircraft. The plane was awaiting takeoff at around 1 o'clock in the morning when Perry's meltdown began. Footage captured by onlookers shows the woman, who was allegedly drunk, grabbing a female passenger's hair and calling her a derogatory name while surrounding passengers and crew members tried to get the situation under control. Perry could be heard denying that she was grabbing the victim's hair while clutching a handful of it. She then began insulting and kicking witnesses as staff members attempted to restrain her, eventually falling onto the floor and continuing the outburst while claiming that she couldn't breathe. Port Authority police responded to the scene and escorted Perry off the flight. While she spat on an officer and kicked him in the leg, she was charged with resisting arrest, obstructing governmental administration, disorderly conduct, 3 counts of harassment, and 3 counts of attempted assault. Number 11. Michael Sharon Wright. A neighborly dispute in Henderson, North Carolina ended with 2 people dead and a previously convicted murderer behind bars on Sunday, June 15th. Police responded to the scene shortly before 7 p.m. where they found 63-year-old Teresa Davis and her son, 26-year-old Joseph Jeffries Jr., suffering from gunshot wounds. The victims were pronounced dead at the scene and investigators identified 41-year-old Michael Sharon Wright as the suspect. Friends and family members of the victims told CBS News that Jeffries had gone to Wright's home to confront him over some garbage cans that had been thrown in he and Davis's yard. During the altercation that ensued, Wright shot the victims with Jeffries' gun. And with Jeffries' 3 children present at the scene, Wright had been released from prison in December of 2024 after serving time for the second-degree murder of his uncle 15 years earlier. He turned himself into the local sheriff hours after the more recent shooting and is currently in custody at the Granville County Detention Center on 2 counts of murder. Number 10. Charles Antwine. The search for a missing North Carolina couple has ended with the arrest of 56-year-old Charles Antwine, who was found surrounded by dismembered body parts inside a Lake City, South Carolina home. Antwine and his wife, Christy Thomas Ward, were reported missing in Brunswick County last Sunday by relatives. Police discovered the gruesome scene in Lake City after a sheriff's deputy spotted a submerged car with a license plate connected to the address. During a visit to the home, deputies noticed a foul odor coming from an air conditioning unit. They returned with a search warrant and found Antwine sitting calmly on the sofa with the mutilated remains inside 3 plastic containers that had been taped shut. Authorities have determined that the victim died from blunt force trauma, but have not officially identified the remains. While additional charges could be forthcoming based on autopsy results and the ongoing investigation's findings, Antwine is currently being held without bond for desecration of a corpse. Number 9. Chad Weathers. An Oklahoma man who's facing a murder charge for killing his girlfriend greeted police with a disturbing statement last Sunday. After receiving a 911 hang-up call around 9:30 a.m., officers responded to the "Sky took home" of 49-year-old Chad Weathers, who came to the door and said, "I've got a weird one for you." He reportedly confessed to shooting his girlfriend Tanya Anderson, who was found deceased in a bedroom with a gun next to her body. According to law enforcement, family members claimed that the couple had a history of domestic violence, but had never reported these incidents to the police. Authorities have not disclosed an alleged motive for the killing or offered a reason for why Weathers waited hours to report Anderson's death. Weathers is in custody without bail on a first-degree murder charge, but the investigation is just beginning, according to Skiatook Police Chief Jason Willingham, who vowed to find answers for the victim's loved ones and to identify ways that the tragic crime could have been prevented. Number 8. Christopher Wasnetsky. A Lowe's home store employee is facing a murder charge for killing his co-worker on the job while the victim was operating a forklift. The incident occurred at a store location near Scranton, Pennsylvania, where 36-year-old Christopher Wasnetsky approached 44-year-old Jeff Moeller at around midnight and shot him multiple times. Moeller was found in critical condition with 3 gunshot wounds and was rushed to the hospital where he died from his injuries. In an email sent to Human Resources shortly before the shooting, Wasnetsky stated that he would not have shot Moeller if they had adequately addressed his complaints about his colleagues. He also confessed to the killing in a 911 call after the shooting, telling the dispatcher that he had suffered months of harassment and other things. A store manager said that Wasnetsky's complaints were investigated, but no evidence was found to support his claims. Wasnetsky is currently being held without bond on suspicion of first and third degree murder as he awaits his next court hearing, which is scheduled for June 30th. Number 7. Gad Black. A Louisiana man with an alleged deep hatred for law enforcement was arrested on Monday for running over a Baton Rouge police officer with his pickup truck and bragging about it on Facebook. 41-year-old Gad Black is accused of knocking Sergeant Caleb Eisworth off his motorcycle and dragging him more than 500 feet. He then fled the scene, leaving Eisworth behind with multiple broken bones and other injuries. Black made several social media posts referencing the road where the incident had occurred, stating that he had stretched one on Jaw Road and to check him out. Following an investigation, authorities charged Black with attempted first-degree murder of a police officer, hate crimes, and resisting an officer. His girlfriend, Asia Raby, was charged with obstruction of justice and accessory after the fact to attempted first-degree murder of a police officer. Raby was booked into custody in lieu of $15,000 bond, while Black remains held without bail as he awaits a sanity hearing, which is scheduled for September 3rd. Number 6. Annie Huffstutler. 42-year-old Annie Huffstutler is facing a murder charge in Dale County, Alabama, for the murder of her husband, 38-year-old Sean Christian Watson, who was shot dead in his sleep with 5 children present in the home. One of the kids dialed 911 after hearing a gunshot, sending officers to the home in the small town of Arrington at around 2:30 in the morning. Watson was pronounced dead at the scene and Huffstutler was booked into custody pending an arraignment hearing. None of the children actually witnessed the crime and authorities have declined to specify an alleged motive for the shooting, leaving the case largely shrouded in mystery for the time being. Huffstutler is being held without bond on a murder charge at the Dale County Jail as the investigation continues. Number 5. Jose Montoya and Judith Ramirez. Tennessee couple are accused of shooting a woman in the back of the head after being kicked out of a restaurant in the middle of the night. According to authorities, 27-year-old Jose Montoya and his wife, 26-year-old Judith Ramirez, were asked to leave the Tequila Town bar in Memphis due to their irate behavior. Police say that Montoya shouted an ominous warning before retrieving a gun from her car and shooting at a security guard, who returned fire in self-defense. Montoya reloaded the gun several times and kept firing before he and Ramirez fled the scene in a Kia Sportage. The security guard managed to avoid being shot, but a woman was shot in the back of the head during the exchange of gunfire. She was rushed to the hospital in critical condition, and investigators tracked the suspect's vehicle to a local residence where Montoya and Ramirez were arrested on suspicion of attempted first-degree murder, vandalism, and employment of a firearm with intent to commit a felony. Number 4. Jonathan Wohl. 2 Manhattan courtroom officers were slashed in the face and neck on Monday when a knife-wielding assailant attacked them in a sudden fit of rage. The suspect, Identified by police as 37-year-old Queens resident Jonathan Wohl, calmly approached the metal detectors near the courthouse entrance at 9:30 a.m., then suddenly lunged at one of the officers. He then attacked the second officer before being tackled to the ground and placed in handcuffs by other officers. Wohl did not have a scheduled court hearing that day, and authorities have not publicly identified a motive for the crime, but they described the act as targeted. The suspect reportedly has at least 18 prior arrests, including 3 open criminal cases, and has a history of harassing courthouse officers. The injured officers were taken to the hospital in stable conditions, and Wohl is being held without bond at Rikers Island on charges of attempted murder and assault. Number 3. Shaun Holiday. A Massachusetts man has been sentenced to decades in prison for shooting his very pregnant girlfriend, who miraculously survived but has been left permanently blind. 30-year-old Shaun Holiday shot Amanda Holyoke at point-blank range at a Brockton apartment in September of 2020, with 3 children present in the home. Investigators identified Holiday as the shooter using surveillance footage and information from a GPS monitoring bracelet he was wearing for an unrelated case. They also relied on eyewitness accounts from the children, who identified the suspect as their father when they saw him being treated for a gunshot wound to the forearm by paramedics. Holiday had approached Holyoke from behind, wrapped his arm around her neck and shot her in the right temple. The bullet had passed through Holyoke's head and become lodged in the defendant's forearm. A jury found Holiday guilty of numerous felonies, including armed assault in a dwelling, armed home invasion, assault and battery on a pregnant person, armed assault with intent to murder, and more. He was also convicted of witness intimidation for making numerous attempts to stop Holyoke from testifying at trial, resulted in consecutive sentences totaling 30 to 40 years. Number 2. Sara Burack. A real estate agent who specialized in high-end properties and was featured on the Netflix series $1 Million Beach House, has been killed in a hit-and-run crash in Long Island, New York. The incident occurred shortly before 3 p.m. on Thursday in Hampton Bays, where police found 40-year-old Sara Burack unconscious on the Montoya highway. She had been left to die by the hit-and-run driver, who fled the scene before law enforcement arrived. Burack was rushed to a nearby hospital where she died from her injuries. On Friday, police arrested 32-year-old Amanda Kempton and charged her with leaving the scene of a motor vehicle accident resulting in death. The suspect was taken into custody following an extensive manhunt and is currently awaiting her arraignment as the investigation continues. Number 1. Holly Sheppard. An Oklahoma woman who's already serving 25 years to life for abusing an infant was arrested on Monday for killing another young child years earlier. 28-year-old Holly Sheppard gave conflicting stories after a 2-month-old was rushed to the emergency room with seizures and head trauma in Ponca City in June of 2023. 5 years earlier, in January of 2018, an infant in Oklahoma City had died from similar blunt force injuries that were sustained while in Sheppard's care. Investigators did not believe the incident was accidental, but were unable to establish who was caring for the victim at the time of their death. In December of 2024, Sheppard pleaded no contest to child abuse in connection with the more recent case. She's now facing a first-degree murder charge for the previous case after investigators connected the 2 crimes, finally enabling them to determine that Sheppard was caring for the first victim when they were killed. The accused killer is being held without bond at the Oklahoma County Detention Center as she awaits her next court hearing.